You know about port mirroring and, of course, traffic monitoring right on switches? Well, find out more right here on IT Pro TV.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
That's right, we're taking a look at Span, Rspan, and Erspan. Actually, Erspan is what we're actually taking a look at.
I love the Erspan. That's great.
It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why on the title, right? It just kept me thinking of the word spam, actually,
Yeah.
is what it actually kept me thinking of. But we're not here for spam. We're here for Anthony Sequeira, and the idea here, of course, of the switch port analyzer is what we're actually
all
doing.
this is about switch port analyzer. 3 different variations. This is probably like the most straightforward of all the videos.
Right.
So if you've been like, "Ooh, this is hard work," hey, kick back, put the old legs up on the Easy Boy recliner. Lazy Boy.
Lazy boy.
Easy Boy. Easy Boy sounds like a rap name, doesn't it? All right. So one feature, span. Why do we need it? Well, switches do some pretty interesting things when it comes to analyzing traffic. If Ronnie and I's workstations are communicating with each other through the switch, that by definition is constrained to those 2 ports. So if you plug in an analyzer on another port, a protocol analyzer, to like try and troubleshoot the traffic between us,
nothing.
it doesn't see it.
Right.
It sees broadcasts, maybe. You know, it's just, it's really tough to work in the analysis of frames by the very definition of how a switch works. So the first invention that came along is called the span feature, the switch port analyzer feature. And, you know, Ronnie, I've often seen this, so don't be surprised if you see it this way in the exam or in your production environments as local span.
Right.
They started calling this local span when they invented more sophisticated versions of it. Local span couldn't be any easier. Look at this. In the iOS, we use the monitor session language. So notice the command isn't span, it's monitor session. We give the identifier. You can start with 1 if you want. Do a show monitor session. Do your show commands to make sure there's not already one in place. That's a gotcha.
Right.
And so we do monitor session, and then you specify what is the source of your traffic. So here I'm interested in monitoring. By default, if you don't specify a direction, I do believe on most switches it's going to be both directions you get. So source interface gigabit 0/2, I want the ingress, the egress traffic, and I want to dump that to port gigabit 0/3. And you do monitor session 1 destination interface. Super simple. So we are mirroring frames from the 0/2 interface and dumping them out to the 0/3 interface. So Ronnie, if I asked you, where's the protocol analyzer on the switch, what would you say based on that config?
It's on gigabit 0/2.
It's on 0/3.
Yeah, 3. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to, yeah.
He can't see that
that
well
was me.
enough. So that's why he struggled there.
Yeah.
This is also an eye exam. I tried to make the font here, Ronnie, as big as I could for our learners without, I can't stand when commands run.
Yeah, it's not that. Some of it's the glare that I have in my eye too. But no, I was looking, I was like, no, that first one's a 1, but now that I see it, I see
Yeah,
it.
the first one's a 2, second one's a 3.
Yeah.
So we are gathering the traffic, mirroring it on that 0/2 port. Corolla, I won't do that again.
Yeah.
Walk away that far from the mic. 0/2, we gather it, we dump it out for analysis on the 0/3. Great stuff. Now, this is not super realistic span for the modern enterprise. Ronnie is going to go into one of the server closets or the data center, and he's going to connect the protocol analyzer to a device, and it's not going to be on the device most likely where he wants to gather the traffic.
Yeah.
So this gave rise to, dun dun dun, Rspan, remote span. So we have local span, now we have remote span. This is also easy. This is also probably the one you're most likely to be tested on. Study all 3, but this one is a shining star for exams. Notice what we do. We create a VLAN. I gave it number 901. And then, remember this, you got to say this is a special purpose VLAN, and you do that by saying remote span. So that is in VLAN configuration mode. We tag that, bad language, we identify that VLAN as the remote span VLAN. Then, Ronnie, we do something very clever. We take the traffic that we're interested. This time we decided to do transmit traffic only. Anything going out gigabit 0/1 in the outbound direction gets copied onto the remote VLAN that we created.
Okay.
Then we take the traffic over where the protocol analyzer is. It's probably going to be on some, far off switch. We take it off the VLAN. So that's our source now. And we dump it out to the port where the analyzer is.
Right.
Super simple, right?
Yep.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
So there's some caveats here to know about, by the way, like certain ports have to be used, like and some automatic things that happen, like your span source and destination ports, things for rapid spanning tree
Right.
protocol happen automatically in the background and stuff like that. But you can read about that if you are really doing this in production. From an exam perspective, we're covering more than you need to know.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting here. Now that you mentioned it, it's a little bit outside of the bounds, but
No problem.
Sometimes what happens is people just say, "Can I actually do this on multiple ports?" In other words, capture the data on multiple ports and
Yes,
send it
yeah.
to one. And yes,
Yeah.
you can. So I think that that's very interesting. But the thing that I also found out the first time I ended up running, I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm dropping a ton of packets as well," because there is some degradation when you send like 20 ports to actually get to one port. So you're not going to really get everything that you think, even though it's trying to send it, it's going to drop some. Yeah.
Great point. So yeah, you want to monitor your monitoring because oftentimes when we're doing packet analysis, we want every single one. Otherwise, it's not valid testing. So, Ronnie,
Yeah.
I love having you here, buddy. That is a great point, and I never would have remembered to make that point. Well, let's wrap it up, Ronnie. We said we promised our learners an easy one, and this configuration looks intimidating, but
Yeah.
it is super simple too. What we're doing this time is something that this came along fairly late in the game. It's kind of corner case, but it is where we need to send the traffic, Ronnie, this time not over a layer 2 infrastructure.
Layer 3.
We have a layer 3.
Okay.
Again, super corner case, like, okay, we're going to do the span source, and then we're going to route it over the routed infrastructure from our site here in Toledo to our site in Gainesville. It's like, this just doesn't happen much, but it is possible. Notice it's not that different of a config. We have our monitor session, and it's an Erspan source that we say. We give the source interface. This time I'm giving an example of receive-only traffic. And then you define your destination, and there's a whole bunch of parameters in there because you're wrapping it all in an IP encapsulation and sending it on its way. Don't be overly concerned with the config here. I just want you to know conceptually on the Erspan what you're doing, and you're taking the mirrored frames and you are transmitting them over the layer 3 infrastructure. From a configuration standpoint, I would want you to know this one right here. It's the most common use of span. It's like the shining star when it comes to how this is done. Know that config. You would not be performing the config in the exam, so that's good news. But actually, bring it on. It's pretty simple, right? Specialized VLAN. We copy data to that VLAN, and then we take it off that VLAN.
All right, so let me ask you a question on this Erspan just for a moment here.
Sure.
So you're saying over a layer 3 network and across, like, where did you say,
A WAN,
Toledo?
it could be the
Toledo
WAN.
to Gainesville.
Yeah.
Okay? So across the WAN, we would probably want to do some type of encapsulation and tunneling, right?
Yes.
So this is a case where we might use something like GRE?
That's exactly right. Okay. And GRE doesn't provide security.
Right.
So the couple of times I've run into companies doing this in production, and I'm trying to remember why. It's corner case, but they secure it.
Okay.
They were actually sending it over, I think it was GRE inside of IPsec.
Yeah.
Because think about it. It's your it's your data traffic
Right.
that's captured and mirrored. You don't want to be like, let's put that on the public internet and see who wants to take a look at it. So Erspan, it's rarely used.
Right.
And it makes good sense, right? Typically the protocol analyzer is right in the data center somewhere and can be accessed via layer 2.
All right, Anthony. Well, thank you again for helping us understand more, and a good review here of Rspan as well as Erspan.
Erspan.
Erspan, yeah. As we start to take a look at it, all that's actually good for troubleshooting if you actually need to, as well as the other term that you also tend to hear it called by is port mirroring. So any of those terms are actually going to be stuff that will be associated with this technology. But that is going to do it for this episode. So signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm your host, Ronnie Wong.
And I'm Anthony Sequeira.
Stay tuned right here for more of your CCNP Encore show.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.